Welcome back to my brand new Android tutorial. And today my topic of discussion will be a little bit different. That will be I will explain about Android application architecture. Okay, and most importantly, in my future lecture also I will be talking more about my MVVM, how to use MVVM, that is model view model kind of architecture. And today my topic of discussion will be to explain you why what is the importance of making this Android application architecture. So how why it is necessary for us to design the architecture of our app. Okay, so this is the main topic of discussion of today, because we made a app. In my previous lecture I created a demo app without thinking about the architecture, right? For simple app, it's okay, like to design the app, like make the app without thinking about the application architecture. But if your application is complex, if you are working with a very big applications, then it is always a best practice to have a design architecture of your app, okay, to maintain all the codes in a particular order. Okay, so actually architecture, what is architecture? Architecture of the app is like a blueprint of your house. Okay, blueprint of a house is like it tells you, it provides the structure of how your house will be looking like, right? Where is the position of your bathroom, where is your position of the kitchen, where is the position of your bedroom, where is the position of your balcony, stuff like that. Where are the corridors? Okay, where is the main entrance, stuff like that. So it's like architecture of your app is like a blueprint of your house. Okay, so when you design a house, when you make a house, you have to have a blueprint of your house, right? To just correctly define where actually where what is the position of bathroom, or what is the position of kitchen, or what is the position of your bedroom and a living room and stuff like that. So well thought out application can make your code maintainable for years and help your team to collaborate, because if you are working with a very big app, you need a lot of a team of programmers to collaborate in the same applications, right? So you have to always have a it's a best practice to have a architecture of your app, okay, to make your code maintainable. uh, okay, the idea is to learn how to structure Android app and benefit them with their design, okay, with this design. So actually, it's always a best practice to have an architecture of app, because you can get some good benefits. As I told you, we can maintain the code and collaborate with our team using the same architecture, because everybody would understand that this is the architecture, and they will already know that where is the code and how to maintain the code, stuff like that. Okay, so as you can see here, actually this is a some simple example of a MVVM, that is model view model architecture of application, where we can also use data binding to help you remove a lot of boilerplate codes. I have already explained in my previous lecture about what is data binding. Okay, there are data binding associated with view, and data binding associated with data, most especially, right? So it's pretty it's like accessing the data pretty easily, avoiding much boilerplate codes. Okay, so and okay, view model and live data. So actually, live data, we will be talking about view model and live data, particularly in my also upcoming lecture videos, where I will be explaining you about view model as well as giving you a brief demo. And this kind of classes will help us to hide some complexity of life cycle and help us to avoid the life cycle related issue. Okay, in some cases, if you architecture your app correctly, you won't even need to worry about life cycle related issues, okay, in the first place. So this will really help us to architecture, like help us to correctly manage your life cycle of your app. Okay, okay, so a life cycle, we learn how to properly handle activities and fragment life cycle to avoid memory leaks, rotation issues, and data loss. So if you have followed my previous lecture videos, I have explained how to save the instance of an app using on save instance state, and restore the instance of the app using on restore instance state, right? So but also this saving the instance, like there are in the life cycle of app, there can be various issues like memory leak, rotation issues. Like when you rotate, your application is recreated, right? The activity is recreated. So and on those scenario, data will be lost. So how do we handle that? Those kind of issues we handled using on save instance and on restore instance. But still this kind of solution are still buggy, in the sense like there are some issues also in this kind of solution. There are, that is, as you remember in my previous lecture, I explained you that we have a maximum 100 kb of data that we can store it, okay? And like there is always a saving and two process, that is saving the instance and also restoring the instance, right? On this callback, on restore instance state callback. So there is always we need extra code to store and the state of the bundle and logic to retype the state. So it's not so pretty a good solution, because in the point of a point of view of a good application. Because if your application is very simple, it's okay. But if when your application grows and it becomes complex, then you need to have a very advanced and good solutions, and that is by using the LifeCycle library. I have also explained you about the LifeCycle library before, about a library which will automatically handle the life cycle. We use the lifecycle observer and lifecycle owner. Lifecycle owner are the activity and fragments, those are lifecycle owner, and lifecycle observer will help us to observe the lifecycle state of a lifecycle owner. And I and I explained about the lifecycle library also in my previous lecture. So if you have not still don't know anything about lifecycle library, then you can also go through my previous video where I have explained all about lifecycle library. But in simple terms, lifecycle library helps us to handle the lifecycle. Okay, it's like there are providing some interfaces, like lifecycle library has provided some interfaces like lifecycle observer, which is helping us to observe the lifecycle owner. And lifecycle owner is most particularly fragments and activities, right? And now right now we will also be talking about some extra lifecycle library classes, that is ViewModel and LiveData. And this ViewModel and LiveData are designed keeping in regard the application architecture in mind. So application architecture that we will be using is MVVM, that is model view model, right? And application architecture is a better way of designing our application classes and relationship between them. So such that the code base is more organized. Your code base will be more organized, performative, and in particular scenarios, and easy to work with, right? You can collaborate with your team partners, if you have a good application architecture, if you follow a good application architecture to design your app. So it's like the architecture in your house, okay, with different rooms, and each room represent different, like it's like, for example, if you see here in the view model architecture, we have a it's like architecting a house, like having different rooms. Like for example, this is view model and model. Models are the data, like which is like, for example, in SQLite you save a database that stores um, a model, like the data, right? And you can also have a repository, which is like getting data from either from the model, which is like a local database, or from a remote data source, that is from web services, when you make a API call and stuff like that. And there is always an interaction between this model and the view, with view model is helping us to interact. And view model also consists of live data, and okay. So finally, okay, actually, the principles that you have to understand is there is no right way to architecture app. Okay, it depends on what is the purpose of the app. It depends from app to app. we can have the different architecture. It's just like there is no perfect way of designing a house, right? There can be a house can be designed in different ways. So you can like there is no perfect way. You have to simply understand that there is no perfect way to design the app. Okay, so but we can have different solutions. Your app designing like there are different design solutions while designing architecture of an app. But I think the most used one is MVVM for the moment, which is also like backed by Google for the moment. And like it's most recently uh, a new kind of like different architecture style, and which is giving you um, like uh, it's helping us to manage the our application in a better way than other architecture style. Like we also previously we had a model view presenter MVP, where we had a model like the data view, that is our activity and fragments, and then there was a presenter which was handling the data itself. But right now with the new application, this lifecycle library, we have a better like this new lifecycle library has given us some important interfaces like view model, live data, lifecycle owner, lifecycle observer, and it's helping us to manage the lifecycle of the app pretty easily. So I suggest to you to use the this single multi-purpose architecture pattern called MVVM, that is model view model. Okay, um, so and also the software design principles that we will be using will be separation of concerns. What is separation of concern? Separation of concern is like the app is divided into different classes, and which has a separate responsibility. Each class has a separate responsibilities, and most importantly we will be working with three classes, okay, using the software design principle, that is separation of concerns. And we will be using with UI controller, as you can see here. UI controller, activity and fragments, you see. And what are these UI controller? We will be working with three classes when we design our app using this software design principle called separation of concern: the UI, view model and live data. Okay, and you see here three UI controller, view model and live data. So what is this UI controller? When activity fragment are responsible, actually they are activity and fragments, okay, and are responsible for UI related task. Obviously, we know the activity and fragment, they are related for UI related task. And they are responsible for displaying view, capturing user inputs, and also so and the yeah, in the pretty simple terms, it's like UI controller are responsible for UI related tasks, all the UI related tasks, like drawing the view to the like handling the UI events, user interface events, like clicking the button, stuff like that, animations and stuff like that. Okay, so view model, what are these view model classes? These classes will do the actual decision making, all the decision making is done by view model. Okay, the purpose of view model is to hold the specific data needed to be displayed in the fragment or activity. So actually the real data is being updated. The view is just, it is user interface where the view is shown, the but the data which will be updated in the view is updated by view model. Okay, so this is the basically the principle of like this architecture. So view model does all the calculations and transformation of the data. Okay, and also actually view model will contain the instance of live data, live data 3, okay, for the moment. And okay, so actually also the principle that you have to understand, view model never references fragment, activity and view, so it will not contain any reference to the activity or fragment. And live data is actually in simple terms is crucial for communicating information from view model to UI controller. that is to update and reader the screen. So actually live data is kind of a communicator, which will communicate between view model and the UI interface, so it will live data actually will hold all the data needed for the UI and prepare it for the display. So actually live data is like the is a data holder, so in simple terms. So this was a theoretical explanation about the importance of application architecture design. I hope you guys have some idea about why application architecture is very important, and most importantly, I also you understood about the like the principle, software design principle that we use when we design our application. And also most importantly, we will be using MVVM in our following lectures, which is a modern way of application design, okay, provided by because uh, having the advantage, taking the advantage of LifeCycle library, right? So that was the whole concept of what I would like to make you understand. And I hope you will also follow these design principles, because it's very important that you follow the design principles while making Android application, so that your applications will be better maintainable, okay. And also you can your team can work with your application architecture, and also it's a good practice, and thank you for your listening, and hope to catch you in my upcoming lecture videos, where I will be explaining you in detail about MVVM, the use, and I will be creating a demo application of how to use the MVVM. I will be explaining about view model, whereas also in the use case of live data. And also in upcoming following lectures I will be using room database, okay, and also how to use a retrofit, okay. So it will be in my following upcoming lecture videos. So thank you very much.